Alrighty, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that houses a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 58 of this freezing cold podcast. And today, we got another good show for you all because we're going to be talking about my San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, this early in the week. That's because we just coming off the heels of a, well, kind of a good feel-good victory this past week over the Chicago Bears. So we're going to be talking about the 49ers finally snapping their 4-game losing streak over the Bears and avoiding the trap of Bears football. Yeah. In this past week, we're also going to be talking about some winners and losers from that game. And we're also going to be talking about their first half of the season so far. They're 3-4 now on the season. And we officially reached the halfway point of the 49ers season. And once it's all said and done, we're going to march forward to the second half of the season where the Niners will begin that half by facing the Arizona Cardinals at home. You already know what to do. If you like what you see here, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified of everything that's related to Very Cold Lasagna, and make sure to listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. So let's get into things with this game between the Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers went into this game needing to snap a 4-game losing streak. It's been a losing streak filled with a lot of emotions. With the latest loss coming in an embarrassing Sunday night, rainy, clunker, whatever you want to call it. It was a super soaked loss to the Indianapolis Colts in a Sunday night game that was just floody, messy, embarrassing, all kinds of words that you can explain this loss to the Colts. Meanwhile, for the Bears, they played some good old-fashioned Bears football, John, getting blown out in Tampa by Tom Brady and the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Bucks, 38-3. They were in need of their own bounce-back win for their rookie quarterback, Justin Fields. So, he can have some confidence in his own development. So, both teams were in desperate need for a win. The Niners, 2-4 on the season. The Bears, 3-4. And neither team wanted to have a 5th win on their loss column. So let's get into this game that I typically predicted was going to have some good old-fashioned Bears football, John. Yeah. Kyle Shanahan, I predicted he was going to get like a good old masterclass from Matt Nagy, who, on all honesty, I thought he was going to coach this game, but he tested positive for COVID early in the week, and he was unable to coach this game, so it was being coached by the special teams coach, and then the offensive coordinator was Bill Lazor. So either way, I thought Kyle Shanahan was going to get his masterclass on how to play some good old-fashioned Bears football, Maggle. So anyway, the game kicks off. We get the ball first. It was kind of pretty much the same how it started last week against the Colts. You get Elijah Mitchell, the running back, the rookie, continuing to get some good work in. But other than that, the offense couldn't get anything going. Even Deebo Samuel on Halloween had Butterfingers. I think he ate too much candy, especially the good old Butterfingers, and a little bit of Reese's Pieces. Too much of that. And it showed early on in the first quarter. His hands were slippery. He shouldn't have ate some of that Halloween candy before he started the game. So anyway, things got worse for the 49ers offense because the backup kicker filling in for Robbie Gould, Joey Sly, missed wide right of the field goal attempt, and it put the Bears offense a little bit towards midway to midfield on their first possession. Justin Fields, the Bears offense, had a good first start to their game. In their usually terrible offensive line, had a decent game protecting him in the first half. And the 49ers front seven couldn't generate any pressure on Justin Fields at all. But nonetheless, they were still able to settle the Bears' offense into a field goal. So the Niners trailed 3-0. So it could have been a lot worse, but still, you had to get some pressure onto Justin Fields early on in the game and make that the theme of the game, which the Niners didn't do. So the Niners got a little more reacquainted on their next possession, but they just had to settle for field goals after Kyle Shanahan elected to call for, once again, the runs in the middle on 2 straight plays. But luckily, it was all tied up, 3-0, but then we reached the second quarter, and I was like, oh shit, oh no, it's happening again. It's the Colts game all over again, or it's the Seahawks game all over again, because the defense just could not stop Justin Fields. They could not stop the offense because they couldn't stop Khalil Herbert from running in the middle. They couldn't stop Cole Kmet from having a potential breakout game. They couldn't stop designed runs from Justin Fields. They couldn't stop a touchdown pass from Justin Fields to Jesse James in the end zone for a 10-3 lead early in the second quarter. The 49ers defense was playing the good old Bears football defense that the Bears typically play. And the 49ers offense seemed to be waking up. You were getting good sightings from Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. But unfortunately, the Niners once again had to settle for another field goal. And fortunately, it was only 10-6. And it was only the first half. And on defense, the Bears continued to teach the Niners defense how to play Bears football, as the 49ers just couldn't still stop Justin Fields on his designed run. So Bill Lazor is actually making good use of Justin Fields, better than freaking Matt Nagy ever is doing with him. So the Niners eventually did finally get a big stop on the Bears on third down in this next possession, when Justin Fields threw a check down, like a quick check down pass, following the 2-minute warning, and the Niners immediately recognized it, and they shut that play down real fast. So the Bears took a field goal, 13-6. I mean, like, okay, there's still a lot of game left to be played, and the 49ers get the ball back at least. My problem was with this possession was on the last possession of the half, was that they were eating a lot of time on this clock. I'm like, they're like, what's taking them? What's like, don't they want to get a touchdown here? But then, I was kind of like, okay, all's kind of forgiven, and because Jimmy G had the super rare, ultra rare, look at this fucking rare, deep pass to Deebo Samuel, to get the ball down to the Bears. I think it was like the 2-yard line, but they could only settle for just 3 points once again. But still, a little bit of progress. It was a 13-9 halftime deficit. Okay, 4 points. We could catch up to that. But overall, that first half was kind of a little very slow. We were playing the typical Bears football, John, that the Bears typically play. You know, the Bears have been playing Bears football for the past several weeks, and I think Kyle Shanahan really got that masterclass going for him. The defense didn't particularly play well. Nick Bosa got a good sack on Justin Fields in the second quarter, but the rest of the front seven couldn't generate any pressure onto Justin Fields, or, get pressure on a usually terrible Bears offensive line. And the secondary, they couldn't stop Darnell Mooney, or they couldn't stop Khalil Herbert or Cole Kmet or Jesse James, who, by the way, hasn't, like, the tight end Jesse James, like, I haven't heard his name since he dropped the ball in Pittsburgh. Like, literally, I haven't heard his name. I literally haven't. So anyway, overall, the defense had to play better in the second half if they want to help their offense, who wasn't overly bad themselves. They just couldn't finish drives, and the Bears defense made some decent plays of their own, and the offense, as a result, had to settle for field goals. So the first half, the 49ers just like, okay, we got to do better. And here comes the second half. And the defense, yet again, continued to play Bears football to start the third. Justin Fields pretty much sliced and diced all over the defense with his arms and his legs, finding Allen Robinson and Jesse James once again. But fortunately, the defense was able to stop them again to a field goal, and the deficit was just kept to 16-9. And then on the Niners' first possession of the second half, Deebo Samuel gets a big 80-yard catch and run, and it made the Bears defense finally play some Bears football, Maggle. By on Jimmy G, like freaking check down pass to Deebo Samuel, and Deebo Samuel literally just span and invaded every single Bears secondary player, and he pretty much just nearly took it to the house. He could have had a touchdown, but he was ruled out of bounds near the goal line. So Jimmy G was like, fine, I'll do it myself. He pretty much ran it himself. Kyle Shanahan called a designed run on 3rd and goal, and Jimmy G got the touchdown himself. Joey Sly mixed the extra point, and pretty much that kept the game 16-15 midway through the third quarter. So the 49ers were finally starting to heat up, which is good news. That translated to the defense as well, because the 49ers were finally able to force a punt on the Bears' next possession. The Bears temporarily lost their running game for a bit. Khalil Herbert had to leave the game for a bit, and that allowed the defense to finally get some pressure onto Justin Fields, finally sacked his booty into the ground, and got a punt. Then we get to the fourth quarter. The offense gets rolling. Jimmy G hits Deebo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk, and the backup tight end, Charlie Warner. They get into the red zone. And Elijah Mitchell, with the help of pretty much everybody, the entire offensive line, all the receivers, Jimmy G himself, he gets a big friendly push to help punch in another touchdown. And the Niners took the lead, their first lead of the game, 23-16. And after Jimmy G threw it to Brandon Ayuk, that was a successful 2-point conversion. And yes, 23-16. Now the Bears have to play catch-up mode. But the Bears, they really know how to stick it to the 49ers, because the defense for the 49ers went right back to playing Bears football. Because on 4th and 1, they were I think it was in the red zone. Yes, the Bears literally got right back into their red zone. The Bears were this close to letting Justin Fields get sacked. And then somehow Nick Bosa couldn't take down Justin Fields. And then Fred Warner couldn't take down Justin Fields. And then seconds later, Justin Fields ran 20 yards for a touchdown. Yeah, he pretty much evaded, scrambled, and made the secondary look like idiots. Yeah, that's the story of Justin Fields in one play. So, fortunately for the Niners, Cairo Santos missed the extra point, and the lead stayed 23-22. But now they had to freaking answer the call through what Justin Fields pretty much did to the Niners just moments ago. They made the Niners defense look like pretty much busters, pretty much like gangbusters right there. Fortunately, the Niners did manage to answer back with big runs from Elijah Mitchell and another desired touchdown run from Jimmy G to extend the lead 30-22. And moments later, the defense was finally able to get a very, very big stop on Justin Fields. And we haven't heard his name in a long, long time, but Samson Ebukam, the linebacker, got a big, big sack on Justin Fields on 3rd down on the very next possession after the Jimmy G touchdown run to force another Bears punt. So on the Niners' final possession of the game, the Niners pretty much all but sealed the deal with a field goal. And then after the 2-minute warning, Justin Fields pretty much yeeted the pass, and it was tipped by, I think it was Darnell Mooney or Allen Robinson, and Josh Norman caught the deflection and intercepted it and sealed the deal. Niners win 33-22. Oh my gosh, what a game. for the 49ers. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting game, but it was a good team effort. It really was a good team effort for this Niners team after like what four games of pretty much losing, embarrassing, mediocrity. But this was a good team effort. It at least feels good to get a win, even if it's against a mediocre team that likes to play some Bears football. Yeah, John. The 49ers still have some issues within the secondary and their quarterback. But, they made the plays when it mattered most. And, I got to give credit to that. And Kyle Shanahan, for once, also adjusted to the key situations. He also made some key adjustments that allowed both his defense and Jimmy G to succeed in this game, especially in the fourth quarter. So for once, Kyle Shanahan is not on my losers list this week. He actually did pretty good in this week. He actually did well against a pretty mediocre Bears team. So we'll see if that translates next week, if he doesn't end up on my shit list. So now, for some winners and losers. Obviously, Elijah Mitchell got some big runs up in the middle and on the outside, on the edge. I think he's going to be pretty good going forward. And then hopefully Kyle Shanahan activates Trey Sermon if Trey Sermon comes back for injury, or Shanahan, if Sermon's healthy, decides to stop making him a healthy scratch. Because I think those two can be a good 1-2 punch. I really think so. Because Mitchell, he's playing really, really well. He knows how to get those positive yardage, find the open running lanes. He's really established himself as the RB1 in this Niners offense. He's doing really, really well. And then I got to give a little bit of credit to Jimmy G. He had a really, really bad game coming back from the bye week, and then the calf injury, and then, getting super soaked and embarrassed on Sunday night against the Colts. And sure, Jimmy G has his Jimmy garbage fail moments, throwing it too high, throwing it in triple coverage, or putting the ball into a place where it shouldn't be put. But, he stepped up. He really stepped up. Kyle Shanahan designed plays for him that, fit his strengths, and Jimmy G delivered. Especially on those designed runs near the goal line, and, finding Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Mohamed Sanu for the critical throws in the game. Those are the things that Shanahan should game plan around Jimmy G. And, I'm not saying that Jimmy G is going to be the savior of the franchise still, because I think it's too late for that. But, at least game plan around him. Game plan around Jimmy G's strengths. Let him throw the ball more, especially down deep. So, overall, Jimmy G did pretty good this week. Now, as for some of the losers, these are just minor losers for this week, because I didn't see too many things wrong with this victory, even though it was against a pretty bad Bears team. I would just like to say, I don't know. I would like to see more from the pass rush, the interior pass rush with D Ford, and I think it was Javon Kinlaw out. And I'm not seeing much from Eric Armstead. I'm really not seeing much from him, producing. I don't hear his name that much. I don't see him generate any pressure, or any hits. You signed a big deal, dude. I think it was last year, 2 years ago. Where are you? Where is he? The only dude producing is Nick Bosa and Ibukam. Where's Armstead? Where is he? And then Fred Warner. Sure, he had the stop on third down when the Bears were first in the red zone, but other than that, it's he hasn't made that many big plays. He hasn't really stepped up to the potential, or he hasn't lived up to the contract extension that he's gotten lately. And sure, he probably had a so-so game, but I'd like to see more from Fred Warner as well. Some takeaways from the game. Like I said, Kyle Shanahan should game plan around Jimmy G's strengths more often. When you're in the red zone, design some outside runs for him like you did in this game, and it really succeeded. And then let him throw the ball deep more. And I know Kyle Shanahan's still having some, scary PTSD from the Super Bowl when he underthrew Manuel Sanders. But, you got to give him a chance. You got to give him a little bit of a chance, a little bit of leeway. And yeah, sure, I still have my distrust in Jimmy Garbage fail too. But, we got to work with what we have here. We got to work with what we have. And yeah, I know I said that this should be Jimmy G's final game against as a starter. But we'll see how he does. I'll take my word back. We'll see how he does against Arizona next week. And then if he doesn't do well, then let Trey Lance start. But for now, Kyle Shanahan should game plan around Jimmy G's strengths so he can let the offense, produce. And then the running back field, I think it'll be fine without Raheem Mostert. I really think it will. I mean, Elijah Mitchell's doing well. JaMychal Hasty is also doing pretty decent. And, if they ever, activate Trey Sermon, whether it's from injury or, he's being just healthy scratched, this could be a really good running attack. And it could be a run and pass attack too. So Kyle Shanahan just got to let them loose. And then the secondary still has to step up, play with conviction. They played a lot better than last week when they were just getting arrested frequently for pass interference. They were playing undisciplined, but they played a lot better. They played a lot better against a mediocre Bears team that was just lacking in the air game. But they'll have to play way lot better than they did against the Colts and obviously the Bears. They're going to have to play the way they did in this game against much better competition with the Cardinals, the Rams, the Seahawks, and then the Titans, all coming up in the second half of the season. So no mental mistakes, no penalty-inducing errors, none of that. So overall, this game was kind of like a get-right game. Obviously not a game that, it's going to be like, oh yeah, we're back in the playoff, baby. We're back in the playoff hunt. But this is kind of like a get-right game needed for the 49ers. So, they can, hopefully turn their season around, it's like a little, positive momentum for them. So I want to briefly talk about their first half of the season. I'll give a little mini review of their season so far. So obviously the 49ers headed into this 2021 season, with the expectation of them potentially going back to the playoffs and then bouncing back from their injury-riddled 2020 season where it was just injury mania, running wild, pal. But unfortunately, after the 2-0 start that now has the 0-8 Detroit Lions and the 3-5 Philadelphia Eagles on the road, those wins ended up being pretty fluky for the 49ers. I mean, think about it. The Detroit Lions victory, we nearly blew the lead. In the Philadelphia Eagles victory, the Eagles just beat themselves. And then when the competition began to ramp up for the 49ers, they went on a 4-game losing skid. They lost a nail-biter to the Packers on a Mason Crosby field goal. They got boat raced by the Seahawks because the offense was doing so bad. The Seahawks eventually managed to adjust and ran away with it. And then Jimmy G got hurt somewhere down the line in that game. And Trey Lance had to finish the game, and the offense just wasn't ready for him. And then let's not forget the Trenton Canyon mistakes in that game that also led to the Seahawks running away with the game. And then they also made a lot of bad play calls, thanks Shanahan, in Arizona. And Trey Lance was, still trying to find his rhythm in that game. And then, of course, the most recent loss at home to Indianapolis with getting super soaked and embarrassed at home. And then obviously with the most recent win that snapped that 4-game losing streak against Chicago, where they somehow avoid to manage playing Bears football, John. So, the Niners are 3-4. There's still a lot of season left to be played. But obviously, when I talked about this season, a month ago in the season preview, the second half of the season, I mentioned in that preview that it's winnable. I don't know about that now. When you're looking at this second half of the season, you got to play the other division games. They're playing the Rams twice, and then you're also playing the also bad Jaguars, who can be up and down too. You're also playing a Vikings team who somehow Kirk Cousins is honestly not doing that bad. And then you're playing a Bengals team that is doing well better than anyone expected. You're also playing the Titans on Thursday night. You're also playing a Falcons team that's also doing a little bit better than people expected. I mean, you get the season finale, the home finale against a very bad Texans team, so that's a plus, I guess. But then you end the season on the road against an LA team that probably has a wild card or maybe even the division all but wrapped up. I don't know, or maybe they're playing for the division and they're just waiting for whatever's to come for the Cardinals. So overall, there's still a lot of season left to be played, but man, it's gonna be a tough hill for the 49ers. Hell, who knows? They might be thinking playoffs. Playoffs? But how are they going to do that when they lost key players yet again to either multi-week or season-ending injuries like Raheem Mostert, Javon Kinlaw, Jason Verrett, and George Kittle? George Kittle is at least coming back next week against the Cardinals. So, still, it's still injury mania in Santa Clara. But at least other players are stepping up, like Elijah Mitchell, Aziz, Al-Shair, the Montre Lenore, and some other key guys. So it's having like a 50-50 tailspin for this 49ers team. It's just both sides of the ball are facing spells of inconsistency, especially on the offense and the secondary. So if the 49ers want to have a chance to make this season a little more respectable of their expectations, they got to play better in those two areas. Jimmy G's got to play better. Kyle Shanahan's got to be a better coach, especially with the play calling. And the defense got to play more disciplined. They have to play more disciplined. So I don't know what to expect for this coming season. I mean, like the rest of the season, but it's gonna be it's gonna be a little tougher than I expected. But yeah, that's what the roller coaster is for, right? That's what this roller coaster is for. So since we're on the topic of the second half of the season, let's take a look to end this episode at our first opponent of the second half of the season in our division rival, the Arizona Cardinals. So the 49ers previously faced the Cardinals in Week 5. They lost 17-10. It was a much closer game and a much more contested game than people expected. Trey Lance made his first NFL start, and Kyler Murray was pretty limited in that game. It was just unfortunate that the Niners couldn't take advantage of the opportunities given to them by the defense, and that was due to Kyle Shanahan limiting the offense to just QB option runs and Elijah Mitchell running down the middle. Hopefully this time around, with the experience in the games that they played, hopefully they learned a little something or two from that game and the two games that they played this time around. And they have a little bit of a winning formula to beat Kyler Murray and this offense. However, that's it. Kyler Murray plays. Because in the Thursday night game against the Green Bay Packers, Kyler Murray sprained his ankle. Yeah. I'm not sure which play it was, but there were reports coming out from that game that Kyler Murray sprained his ankle, and most recent reports, as I'm seeing, it's at least a week that he could. It's not a certainty that he could not play in this game, but I'm gonna assume the notion that he will. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. So, in that game against the Packers, the Cardinals have had a weak spot exposed in that game, and that is their run defense. Because J.J. Watt is out of the season with a shoulder injury, and I kind of feel bad for J.J. Watt at this point because he just hasn't played a full season in a long time. But anyway, without J.J. Watt, and even with Chandler Jones back in the lineup, the Cardinals were just unable to stop both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon on the run and in the air on Thursday night. And they just pretty much let Aaron Rodgers, and this was without Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, and Robert Tonyan tore his ACL in the fourth quarter. They let Aaron Rodgers torch them all game long. And the offense, the Cardinals offense, fell into a funk. And I think this is because they played down to the fact that, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have his top receiver. It's like, we can win this game. We can win this game. And it's also to the fact they're coming off a loss. They could thank AJ Green for selling the game, and not looking at Kyler Murray. And yeah, I think while that could be the case the last time around with the 49ers, for that, for the Cardinals, making this a close thing with them, I don't know. I think the Cardinals could make this like a game for them to have more reason to play with anger because, like I said, they're coming off their first loss of the season. They're 7-1 now. They got to play with more motivation because now the Rams are right behind them in the division race. Like, that one loss is crucial to them now. So, some keys to victory for both teams. All the receivers have to get involved. That includes Rondale Moore. That also involves DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green. Pretty much everybody has to get involved. For whether it's Kyler Murray or their backup quarterback. I don't even know who that is. I heard it was Colt McCoy, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. And most importantly, they have to look at the ball. They got to look at the ball. Don't let AJ Green be the example of, game losing mistakes. So the Cards, all the receivers have to, not make game costing mistakes. Kyler Murray, if he plays in this game, he got to limit the off the script plays. He made a lot of them during the Thursday night game. If he makes a lot of them again, if Cliff Kingsbury doesn't give him like more scripts to follow, it's going to cost his team the game. As for the 49ers, I would like to see Elijah Mitchell get involved in the passing game too, alongside his usual run routes. I mostly see him in the running game. I would like to see him in the passing game too, just to see what he's got, alongside JaMychal Hasty, just to vary things up, and make the Cardinals a little more confused. Nick Bosa has to have a big game once again against Kyler Murray. I'm hopeful that D Ford and Samson Buckham play again too. And Jimmy G has to have a good game against a decently strong Cardinals defense. And I say decently strong because they lost J.J. Watt to the season, and I don't think the Cards are that. I'm not saying that strong. I'm probably gonna say as strong of a defensive pass rush without him. So Jimmy G, even without the presence of J.J. Watt, around him, going up against him, he's got to do as well as he did against a mediocre Bears team in Week 8, and translate that against a much stronger, much better Cardinals team in Week 9, this coming week. So those are my keys to victory for the Cardinals game, again, for the 49ers. And those are my thoughts for the Bears game from week 8. What did you guys think about this victory for the 49ers? Finally snapping their 4-game losing streak in the matter of weeks. Finally, we finally celebrate that 3rd victory, I guess. 3 wins, yay! We finally did it. It was kind of a bit an emotional win for the 49ers, yay. I know it's kind of a mediocre win, but who cares? I guess at least we didn't get to we avoided the trap of Bears football, John. Yeah, but let me know how you felt about this Niners win, however you can, whether it's on YouTube in the comment section or on social media with a direct message, however you can. But that is it for this 49ers recap episode of Very Cold Lasagna. I am DylanLasagna signing out. Make sure to follow all the social media platforms that I'm on. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports in general. Freezing cold and tasty, like a very cold pasta lasagna. Anyway, let's hope the Niners somehow keep it close against the Arizona Cardinals, whether it's Kyler Murray is playing or not. But if Kyler Murray's not playing, then maybe we can sneak out a win. But we'll see what happens this coming Sunday against the Cardinals. But anyway, that is it for now. Until next time, peace out.